Shovel Knight digs up a new game, and more coming up on today's episode of the latest in tech news. Hey Gadgeteer, you're just in time for the latest episode of the world's only 3-in-1 show on tech, gadgets, and gaming news. That's right, this is the latest in tech news. My name is Taylor Merrick, and if you're new here, hit that subscribe button right now so that you don't miss out on the next episode. We do this on the daily around here, and we would hate for you to miss out. By the way, if you happen to learn something new on today's show, be sure to share this with a friend. That's the greatest way to get this news spread around to people who want to hear. We do cover about 7 articles on average each episode, ranging from tech, gadget, and gaming news, so we would hate for you to miss out on that, or your friend for that matter, and your friend would actually hate you for having missed out on it, so you might as well tell them. So on our featured story today, we'll be taking a look at Shovel Knight is getting a spin-off game and some new features. We'll be getting into that. And Tech News will be taking a look at Spotify testing an in-app create podcast button. And in my personal opinion, why it's pretty stupid idea, but we'll be getting into that, good, bad, or otherwise. We'll also be taking a look at Insta360's tiny new Go stabilized camera could be a game changer for social video. And in tech or gadget news, we'll be taking a look at the shark fin selfie camera on Apple's latest smartphone. Also, we'll be taking a look at Dell's new Latitude 5300 2-in-1 and Latitude 5400. These are Chromebooks for enterprise use, so you'll want to be listening into that. And in gaming news, we'll be taking a look at, well, remember yesterday when I had talked about Epic putting in the nerf for turbo building? Well, they decided to revert on it. I guess you guys convinced them, so we'll be getting into that, and we'll be taking a look at an early video showing off an unreleased flagship phone like nothing you've ever seen before. And that probably should have been gadget news, but be that as it may, before we can take a look at what happened in today, we have to take a look back on today in tech history. Alright, today is August 28th, 2019. On this day in 2009, Apple releases Mac OS 10.6 Snow Leopard for their Macintosh computers. Snow Leopard was an important release as it was the first to drop support for PowerPC-based Macs and focus optimization for the Intel processor-based Macs. The networking protocol that Apple had used since the 1980s, AppleTalk, was also discontinued in Snow Leopard. AppleTalk was the first true plug-and-play networking protocol during its heyday in the late 80s, and AppleTalk was the most widely used networking protocol in the world. And you might not know that anymore. It's been a year since then. Also, on this day in 1991, the first email was sent from space, and I swear, there's a little bit of controversy going on with this, but using a Mac portable aboard the Space Shuttle Atlantis, the first email from space is sent to Earth. Two astronauts on the spacecraft, James Adamson and Shannon Lucid, wrote, "Hello Earth, greetings from the STS-43 crew. This is the first Apple link from space. Have a great time. Wish you were here. Send cryo and RCS. Hasta la vista, baby. We'll be back." The message was transmitted to the Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas. And, well, seeing as how everything went well, with that out of the way, let's head on over to today's feature story. Oh man, feature stories. How many of you love Shovel Knight? Raise your hand. I'm raising my hand even though I haven't played the game. Man, looking at this game, I guarantee you, if I have the time to devote to it and I was able to play it, I would be enjoying it as much as you guys are currently. For those of you who play, and for those of you who don't play, well, maybe it's time you start taking a look. Why not? I mean, it is Shovel Knight. By the way, if you're interested in any of the articles mentioned on today's show, head on over to TechNewsGadget.net, and there you can get the show notes for this and any other episode. Even years after updates, Shovel Knight does not tire, nor does he slow down. He is determined to shovel onward, even if it costs him his life. Today, developer Yacht Club Games unearthed a veritable treasure trove of all new stuff for gaming's most foremost knight who wields a shovel, including an all-new game. They dropped a trailer for Shovel Knight, King of Cards, First and foremost, the final additions to the original Shovel Knight, a new campaign called King of Cards, and a multiplayer fighting mode called Showdown are coming out in December as part of the Shovel Knight Treasure Trove package. The game is also getting a series of new features, including body types and a pronoun option for the original campaign, new accessibility options, co-op feats, support for 3 new languages, and additional cheats that add whole new ways to play. And wouldn't be complete without this new game that they have unearthed, as it were. There's also a new Shovel Knight game on the way. It is called Shovel Knight Dig, and it's about digging. Can you, and indeed, will you dig it? Only time will tell. For now, though, Yacht Club says it's about Shovel Knight pursuing Drill Knight and his dastardly crew to the center of the earth, or somewhere thereabouts, through a series of subterranean levels that are both meticulously crafted and stitched together using proprietary generation techniques for infinite replayability. As you dig, you'll accrue various riches, allowing you to permanently upgrade Shovel Knight. A collaboration with developer Nitrome, Dig has been in development for about a year, according to Yacht Club, and it doesn't have a release date yet, but they did drop the trailer, so for those of you interested, the link will be in the show notes to this video. You just have to click on the article to go ahead and watch it. So, what do you guys think? Good, bad, or otherwise? I'd love to hear your thoughts if you're watching via YouTube, and if you're listening via the podcast, let us know over on Twitter. We are at TechNewsGadget. I'm actually kind of fascinated by this. I mean, Shovel Knight has had its own following for quite some time now. I've kind of been like a fan from the outside looking in, wondering, what is it all about? It's a game that I've looked at and gone, well, this is kind of surprising. A knight with a shovel, and he's okay. Well, and the game's still going, and now we get more news, and now more games are coming out, more features. When will it stop? Please don't stop. It's interesting. It's kind of dug out its own niche, as it were. So it's doing very well for itself, and I figured this is a feature story worth telling about. So I'm excited about it. Love to see how everything turns out, and if we are indeed able to capture Drill Knight and his dastardly crew and bring them to justice, whatever that means, even if that entails bashing them on the head with a hammer or shovel or maybe a rock. I don't know. We'll find out. But remains to be seen. We don't have a release date yet, but maybe in like a year or two. That's usually how these go. First the initial trailer drops, and then they base it off the feedback that comes off of it, and then if it's generally positive, they just keep on continuing on with it, and if it's not, they'll make some changes which might delay it a little bit farther. But seeing as how things are set in progression, it's usually about a year or 2, possibly 3 at the most, and then the new game will drop. So interesting and fun all at the same time. Can you dig it? Okay, to be fair, I was going really hard for some of those jokes. I mean, Shovel Knight, digging, dirt, everything, and that it entails. I had to say something about it. This is something I'd rather not want to say anything about, but I have to. For those of you listening via the podcast, yes, there is video of today's show, and you can see my entire disappointed face if you want over on youtube.com/TechNewsGadget. Apparently, Spotify is testing an in-app create podcast button. Please don't. I can just... don't. I mean, my brain, my head hurts already listening to all the horrible podcasts that are going to come out of this. But let's read the article, because I guarantee there are going to be some of you going, well, what's the big deal? What's the problem? This is good. Okay, yes, there's good news. And there's also bad news. It's like flooding the kitchen with too many cooks, and then saying, go create a masterpiece. And then you go, we can't create a masterpiece. We can't move. There are too many cooks. And they say, well, that's too bad. We need a bigger kitchen. And we say, no, there's not a bigger kitchen. There's the same size kitchen, too many cooks, and it's your own fault. Figure out how to fix it. Kick the cooks out of the kitchen. Okay, that's all I'm going to say on that. Spotify wants as many podcasts on its platform as possible, and is testing a new button within its app that'll encourage people to create one. Code leaker Jane Wong spotted a new button in Spotify podcast library that says create podcast, and if tapped, will either send people over to the Anchor app if it's already installed, or send them to an informational web page about the app. Spotify acquired Anchor, if you remember, a podcast creation technology company, earlier this year. Anchor is designed to make it easy for anyone to create a podcast by recording right off their phone. Spotify's ownership of Anchor hasn't been quite obvious in either app currently, but it looks like that might be changing now. And there are a couple of tweets just to back that up in case you're wondering, hey, was this actually real? Well, it's true. They're testing a create podcast button to funnel their app users to Anchor. There's a Brazil version of the Anchor promo page, and here's an international version of the promo page with Spotify, interestingly enough. Spotify called the feature a test in a statement to The Verge. We are always testing new products and experiences to improve the overall Spotify experience. Some tests will eventually make way for upgrades to our product. Others are only tests. We have no further news to share at this time. Standard boilerplate information. What's particularly interesting about this test is that Spotify also owns a company called Soundtrap that recently launched a podcast creation tool. The difference is that Anchor is designed to be more casual, whereas Soundtrap is seen as more serious editing software that's designed to be used in a studio setup, even if it is at home. Interesting to see Anchor and Spotify's relationship becoming a little bit more prominent now, and this finally might be the indication of that happening. This obviously is all the news that we know at this point. We'll have to wait to find out further, but I think you already heard my thoughts. Do you agree with it? Do you not agree with it? I'd love to hear what you guys think. Let me know. I'm not too thrilled about this. Hopefully this just remains a test and they go, yeah, we got a lot of podcasts out about it, but it seems like the vast majority of them were only one episode podcasts. The quality was horrible. The person rambled on for an hour. The content really wasn't that interesting. It wasn't well edited. It was poorly volume edited. It was basically akin to the sound of flushing a toilet. So that's why we labeled it a test, and that's all the news that we have. It is gonna go no further because I can understand, the fun, the joy that comes with creating a podcast. I've been doing it for like over a decade at this point. I've had several podcasts over the years. This isn't my own foray into it, so it's kind of interesting to see the podcasting landscape shift throughout time. I can see it as, trying to become more mainstream in terms of like how YouTube did, but YouTube caught on quickly because of its viral nature and the fact that it was video. It seems like the podcasting end of it is taking a little bit longer to catch up, but whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, it really depends on who you ask. Some could say it's a very good thing, and others will say, no, it's not. You're going to short track it, and you're going to flood the system with a whole bunch of people, and they're not going to be that well adept at everything that comes with podcasting. And the same case could be made for those on YouTube. Like, that wasn't really worthy of making a video out of it. You see what I'm saying? So, good, bad, otherwise, I don't know. You've already heard my thoughts on it. I tend to agree with the latter. But remains to be seen. But it is good news to hear nonetheless, making it a lot much simpler, kind of in a way that it is simple to make a video and post it in YouTube is most likely the angle that we're looking at here. So, yeah, that's what we got. And with that, let's move on to the next story. All right, our next story we got lined up. Insta's 360's new Go stabilized camera could be a game changer for social video. And for those of you wondering, Insta360 has quickly established itself as the leader in 360-degree video capture, at least for the consumer market, and its new Go stabilized camera builds on that legacy and extends some of the tech it has built into the category of more traditional non-360-degree footage. The $200 Go is truly tiny. It weighs less than an ounce and measures less than 2 inches tall and an inch wide. It's tiny, and that's ideal for the use case that Insta360 has in mind for this device, meaning wearing it or mounting it virtually anywhere for capturing quick clips. The Go's all about quick action grabs, with a 30-second cap on clip recording, which you trigger by pressing the lone control button on the device. A second press stops the clip unless you let it run the entire 30 seconds. And as you can see, it's on display here. So obviously this is why it pays to maybe catch the show on youtube.com/TechNewsGadget. As you can see, it's just like this little device that like mounted to somebody's hat, mounted on somebody's headband. It's tiny. The Go's design is clearly meant for social sharing, but its secret weapon versus just using your smartphone or making use of other devices is that it packs Insta360's flow state stabilization on board. This is the company's digital video stabilization feature, which works to great effect on its Insta360 One X 360-degree camera for smoothing out footage, so that even in intense action sequences, you don't get the nausea that goes along with all the movement. So, they do have a video that goes along with it. They've labeled it the 20-gram Steadicam, kind of like the marketing angle they decided to take for it. Go also features a magnetic body, which is designed to work in tandem with a variety of accessories, including backs for securing them to unobtrusively clothing, underwater housing. The camera itself is IPX4 rated, which means essentially it's protected from splashes but not meant to be submerged, and mounts for sticking to things like surfboards or vehicles. It can capture clips at a resolution of up to 2720 by 2720, but it crops the image to 1080p at 25 frames per second for exporting as a result of the stabilization tech. Let's see. Shooting modes include a standard 25 FPS as well as a 30 FPS time lapse, which can record up to 8 hours, which will output a 9-second video, and a hyperlapse mode that can shoot for up to 30 minutes to generate a 5-minute video. It can capture photos to exporting square images at 2560 by 2560 or a number of landscape options reading down from there. Now, in addition to simplifying capture, the Insta360 Go also hopes to make editing and sharing much easier with its flash cut auto editing feature. This software tool uses AI, according to the company, in order to find the best clips that you can even sort by category that you capture throughout the day and then stitch them together in a final edit. You can also fully tweak the edit it provides if you'd rather be a more involved creator. It's kind of interesting, this instance of it, which is to maybe like do like a vlog recap of your entire day, just like have it on your head for a whole 8 hours or whatever, and then edit it down later. Kind of interesting, built for the highlights. The biggest limitation, based on just reading the specs and not having a chance to test it out yet, is that the battery life is rated at around 200 clips per day, based on an average of 20 seconds per clip. But that's including recharging the camera when not in use using the included charge case, which has 2.5 extra charges using its built-in battery. That and recording limitation could prove challenging for anyone looking to create a lot of content with this camera, but on the other hand, it's very easy to ensure that you have it with you at all times, even when your smartphone isn't ready. And here's an actual close-up look at it. It looks like here's the camera right here, and they have several different accessories and everything that goes along with it. Now, obviously, at $200, the Insta360 Go isn't exactly cheap, but it does include the charging case, a pendant with a magnet that you can use to wear it around your neck, a stand, a clip for clothing, and a sticky mount for putting it on most smooth surfaces. You can also laser engrave it if you purchase it directly via their website, but after some misstarts for this category, like the Google Clips camera and earlier entrants like the Memento and Narrative Clip life logging cameras, it'd kind of be interesting here to see if Insta360's additional features help this gadget finally define a category, rather than having people carry around big bulky cameras for nice high quality video and sound to go along with it, and then, you know, have them walking around going like, yep, there's a vlogger, there goes another. How many people do we live around here that are just vlogging all the time? Can you guys knock it off? Oh wait, that was me. When I was in Taiwan, I was the only vlogger there. In the town that I lived in for about a year's time, I vlogged my life. It was every single day when I was in Taiwan, whatever was going on that day. It was more of an interesting experiment than anything else, and something for me to look back on. It got a lot of traction, I will tell you that, but yeah, you definitely got the weird head turns and everything else, because I was carrying a camera right in front of me and pointed at me, and I was recording what happened for that day. So I don't know, maybe it'll be more interesting if it's like a camera actually attached like on your person, but it kind of removes you're looking at the subject of the person talking in the video. But I don't know, if you're really good at wanting to capture things as they happen, this could be a benefit to you. But yeah, finally seeing if this gadget could help define a category. Indeed, good luck to the Insta360 Go. Moving on to some more gadget news. Behold, the shark fin selfie camera on Apple's latest. Yeah, it's a shark fin camera that pops up and goes boink. You would of course be completely forgiven for not recognizing Apple's name here in the States. In its native China, however, the company is a powerhouse, regularly capturing around 20% of the world's largest smartphone market and handily beating out more familiar names, but here at least, like Apple and Samsung. India, the number 2 global market, has been a pretty solid market for the company as well, generally landing itself in the top 5. The Reno 2 was just announced for that country today, bringing with it some of the unique boundary-pushing features that have become Apple's stock in trade. So, most notable here is the shark fin. That's the name in-house for the triangular mechanical selfie camera that pops out top. It's a return feature and one a number of other manufacturers have implemented in some form, including the Apple Connected One Plus, which has a much stronger US presence. The other big thing here are the cameras on the other side. It's a pretty impressive setup back there, with including a 48 megapixel lens with optical image stabilization, wide-angle lens, and a telephoto. At 5x hybrid, it's a step that's down from the 10x zoom the company launched a while back at, well, the current price in India at 36,900 rupees. I believe that's the proper indicator. It's priced at just over $500 US, putting it at a mid-range here in the States. And the author here has been playing around with it a bit at their New York office at TechCrunch. It's not a bad little phone, albeit a little bit chunky compared to some flagships. Not really surprised much at that price point either, nor is the continued inclusion of a headphone jack, which continues to be an important feature for markets like India. So, interesting. Well, that I just gotta save on some space at some time. I'm trying not to sneeze here for those of you wondering what's going on in the audio version. Oh man, I hope I don't sneeze, because if I do, I'm allergic to air. That's all I'm gonna say right now. I'm allergic to air. I should probably stop breathing right now. It'd probably save me a whole lot of time and energy. Just get it out. Okay, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. All right, moving right along to some more gadget news. Dell's new Latitude 5300 2-in-1 and Latitude 5400 Chromebooks for Enterprise just dropped this week. They introduced their Chromebook Enterprise initiative designed to make its platform viable for enterprise users as well, thus challenging Microsoft's Windows. Dell is the first major PC maker to launch Chromebook Enterprise notebooks designed for businesses and supporting appropriate security, management, and deployment features. And looking at some photos right now of the laptops folded up, slightly closed, mostly open, flipped and turned around, sitting on top of itself. The Chrome Enterprise systems introduced this week are the Dell Latitude 5300 2-in-1 Chrome convertible notebook, which with a touch-sensitive Full HD 13.3-inch display, as well as a Latitude 5400 Chrome laptop with a 14-inch HD or a Full HD monitor with or without touch support. Both machines come in a post-industrial carbon fiber chassis that features carbon fiber reinforced polymer LCD back and has passed 17mm STD tests. As for battery, they do offer options with a 42-watt, 51, 60, or 68 battery packs. Truly a wide enterprise offering. I swear there's something in my eye. Was it another fly again? I've had flies flying around in the office here a little bit. So I've been doing my fair share of killing today. Let me know if you see any. In terms of, let's see, processing power. They're based on Intel's 8th generation core processors with up to 4 cores, as well as Intel UHD graphics paired with up to 32 gigs of DDR4 memory, as well as an SSD drive of up to 1 terabyte capacity. And that's actually fairly impressive for a Chromebook. As for connectivity, laptops are equipped with 802.11ac Wi-Fi, Bluetooth 5.0, an optional Intel XM 4G LTE modem, a GBE 5400 series only, a USB 3.1 Gen 2 Type-C port with DisplayPort, as well as power delivery for docking to USB 3.1 Gen 1 Type-A, one HDMI 1.4 port, a micro SD card reader, and a 3.5mm connector for headsets. Multimedia capabilities of the mobile PCs include a webcam, stereo speakers, microphone array, and some other essentials. Here are the rest of the stats that go along with it for those of you who are interested. Pricing has just come out. Sales have started this week. The convertible machine starts at $819, whereas the non-convertible notebook starts at $700 US. So for those of you who are interested, here you go. Here are all your stats. Feel free to peruse and get out of here. Get out of here. I did not plan that at all. Thanks a lot, Windows, trying to butt in here. Okay, as you can tell, I'm doing this on a computer that wants to apparently update and restart at random times. This has never happened before on the show, so my treat to you guys. Enjoy. Moving on to some gaming news. Apparently, Epic is now reverting the Fortnite turbo building change after players pushed back. Stop us if you've heard it before. Epic made a change to its hit battle royale shooter that was supposed to make the game more even, and just changed it back after a near revolt by the Fortnite community. Just like its move to nerf Brute Max last week, this evening, the company announced that after just one day, it's changing the timing on turbo build back to its previous settings. And even Ninja got himself in on it too. Of course he would. Why wouldn't he? Yesterday, the developers changed the time delay between placing building items from 0.05 seconds to 0.15 seconds. That's still just a blink of an eye, but for experienced players, being able to pull off a 690 moves can take you up to high ground very quickly or defend yourself against the detuned mechs, requiring a high level of responsiveness. Ninja himself had to say, nobody, not a single person, like literally nobody ever, not even the aliens in Area 51. And then there's Fortnite. Let's nerf 90s. And then Daquan decided to get in on it too. One day, game developers will realize that you can't protect noobs from getting bopped. You add ranked, people will smurf. You separate casual and ranked, people will just go bot farm into casual. You try to change game mechanics to save them, and you ruin your game. History doesn't lie, and it seems to at least be true if you're going to be smart about how you go. You're not going to be perfect about it, let me say that right off the bat, but you could probably borrow a page from Blizzard or Riot Games in terms of how they've tuned their games. I can tell you, for one, that League of Legends, way back when, used to have a very, very different play style competitively, professionally, and just casuals, like normal people playing in the game. And it was so different. People went, well, then why am I playing this way in casuals when I should just be playing the way they play in the professional matchups anyways? Well, it's because those professionals, and they had already figured it out, and they spent hours at a time perfecting their skills and everything else. And so Riot Games did the best they could. And now, ironically, for the past couple of seasons, World Championship-wise, and watching how the progression changes, something incredible has changed, and something that I can't believe nobody has ever pointed out. Maybe they have, I just haven't been listening. Sorry, I just watched the World Championship games. Is that when you play casual now, League of Legends, and then you watch the competitive, ranked professional gameplay, you go, huh, it's very much the same way. It's just these guys are much better at the characters and, who goes with who in terms of complement and who we should be, matching ourselves against competitively, and then seeing how as a team we operate and hopefully overcoming challenges that come with the unique team setup, both with our team and the enemy team. But it's a lot more matched, similar. And I think that's the same thing that Fortnite is trying to figure out here in terms of how do we get ranked and like casual games to the same. Because if you happen to notice in ranked and arena games and the World Cup, those matches were completely different from how people normally play Fortnite. People don't sit themselves in a turtle one by one until the second or third circle and then start shooting each other out and then popping between one by ones and going up and going down and like doing these crazy edits and cranking 90s, dude, and then launching themselves straight up in the air and like blasting a guy in the head with a shotgun for the win. I mean, it just doesn't happen. It does on a professional level, but like you sit there on a casual level and go, dude, I ain't gonna go crank 90s. What are you, nuts? So yeah, just something to think about. High-profile gamers like Ninja immediately complained or threatened to switch to other games, and response clearly rang bells to get such a quick response. Epic said yesterday that the change was made to level the differences caused by ping times and make building more deliberate, instead of just allowing players to spam walls while under attack and turtle without taking damage. While the delay has returned to 0.05 seconds, there is still a 0.15 second delay to replace a structure that was destroyed. Also, to help level out the difference between ping times, if two players attempt to place a piece in the same spot at the same time, the winner will be determined by a coin flip. So it seems like it's not entirely back to normal, but they're kind of trying to figure out the best way to go about it. So yeah, that's that. Let's move on to the final article. All right, well, we'll just hop right over to some gadget news here. Early video review shows off an unreleased flagship phone like nothing you've ever seen before. This is kind of interesting. Samsung spent mountains of cash on catchy anti-Apple marketing to propel it to the top of the smartphone industry. Yet, even when it got to the top, the company's smartphones weren't actually all that good. It's amazing what spending tens of billions of dollars on advertising can do. The company's earliest smartphones were a travesty, but things improved when Apple began shamelessly copying Apple's iPhones in every way it possibly could. Even still, the lineup of Galaxy flagship phones felt cheap and plasticky until the company eventually relented and began using premium materials in place of flimsy plastic. Now, in 2019, Samsung makes some of the best flagship smartphones on the planet. The latest examples are the Galaxy Note 10 and Note 10 Plus, which features the company's newest Infinity O display and its tiny hole punch camera. While the hole punch selfie cam is cool, the defining characteristic of Samsung's Infinity display is the gorgeous curved edges on either side. They look great, feel great, and result in bezels that almost completely disappear. Almost. You see, it's kind of a bit stuck on this Infinity display design right now. It's not as stuck as Apple, which will continue to include a massive notch on its iPhone 11 series in 2019 because it really doesn't have the tech needed to hide its true depth camera sensors under the screen, but it is stuck. Flagship's phone from Galaxy, Samsung have had almost the same Infinity design for years now, but outside of the US, the upcoming Vivo Nex 3 flagship phone has been creating a ton of buzz as details have leaked out ahead of launch. That trickle of leaks became a rushing river this morning because a YouTuber managed to get his hands on a Vivo Nex 3 and he released a full video review. Well, can't exactly call this a leak since it was quite obviously arranged and approved by Vivo. Still, this marketing video is our first in-depth look at the new Nex 3 that has everyone buzzing. Man, look at this. What's so special about the Vivo Nex 3? Well, it's a powerful flagship smartphone with cutting-edge specs and support for 5G connectivity, but there's one feature in particular that people can't stop talking about. That's right, the display. As you can see in the images that we've seen here on the top of the article, the Vivo Nex 3 has a screen that takes Samsung's Infinity display concept to a whole new level. A video is worth 1,000 words, so I won't really spend much time describing how this OLED screen spills out over the side of the phone and extends halfway around to the back, but if you want a phone to drool over that's unlike anything you've ever seen before, this is quite impressive. There will be a link to this video in the show notes. I'd encourage you guys to go take a look at it and then let me know what you think of it. This video, oh man, I mean, look at it. Here it is. And there's the box it comes in. And that's all I'm going to show because I can't show anymore. So that wraps up all the articles I think we got, right? I mean, yeah, that does. Yep. All right, and with that wraps up this episode of the latest in tech news. Thanks for tuning in, guys. New episodes every weekday. The latest in tech news can be found on every major platform, including Apple, Spotify, Google, YouTube, Stitcher, Overcast, and more. Now, if you enjoyed this episode, if I can talk, please give me a like for support. And leave a comment if you're watching today's show via YouTube. If you're listening via the podcast, head on over to Apple Podcast to leave us a review, or on whatever app you're currently listening on. Also, double check that you are subscribed so that you don't miss the next episode. And be sure to share this episode with a friend. I'm your host, Taylor Merrick, and remember, for the latest in tech, gadget, and gaming news, visit TechNewsGadget.net. Pretty much keep being awesome, guys, and I'll see you on the flip side.